Bangalore, I'm happy to say, was probably the easiest minifigure I ever had to translate into Lego. Not only was this hairpiece as close to a perfect fit for her as I'm likely to find, but the rest of the character really didn't require any special accessories beyond a gun for her to hold, which is just such a weight off. Honestly, like, this was just lovely. For her face print, I used Princess Leia as a base, as I always do these days. I flipped the mouth print, squinted her eyes a little, made her pupil's face where I guessed the camera would be, adjusted the eyebrows, and changed the colour of her lips before I started adding face creases to try and get it to resemble her. This was another character with a very normal face with no standout features, so capturing her likeness was super difficult. I tried adding some eyeshadow, but that didn't work. Tried adding some extra creases, but that wasn't enough either. The solution I eventually arrived at was moving the hairpiece up further to give her a bigger forehead, moving the mouth print very slightly higher up too, as well as moving the eye prints very slightly further apart, and making the temple prints more pronounced. It's still a fairly general face print, but I think context clues will make it work well. For her torso print, there was one main change I made from the usual process. Essentially, I realized that prints on minifigures very rarely have that much line weight variation at all, with the exception of creases on clothes and faces. So what I did was basically, instead of trying to freehand the lines to be more or less the same thickness, I just disabled pressure sensitivity determining brush size, which basically turned my drawing pen into a mouse. I think this change makes the prints less intricate and detailed, but it makes them more accurate to Lego style, which I think serves my ultimate goal here a bit better than before. For thinner parts like creases, what I'm doing is basically drawing the entire line the same thickness and whittling down the ends with an eraser, which I think emulates the style a bit better. Also, OBS crashed while recording this part, so that was less than ideal. The waist print was extremely simple. I was a bit concerned about the large areas of flat color with no detail, so I threw in some creases just to break up that space a little. Other than that, nothing much to it. Next I moved on to the leg prints and encountered my first major obstacle. The prints themselves were fine, like blocking out where each section starts and ends and all the details within was pretty standard stuff, but then when it came down to deciding on the color for the shirt flap, I was really struggling. The big issue was that whatever I used here would change the base colors for the rest of the figure, so it was, something I really should have decided on before this point, but what can you do? My instinct was to use sand red as the base color and go lighter for the flap and trim, but every color brighter than sand red just looked way too bright to a point that it felt wrong. I eventually decided to use sand red for the brighter color and simply brown for the base color. This meant that I needed to change the skin color from brown to a light brown, lest I want to give the impression that she's only wearing a bulletproof vest. With that, I went back and changed the hip and torso prints accordingly. Here's the before and afters. Then I moved on to the arm print, again only the one side, which was once again just lovely with no real challenges to speak of. A thought I had though was that nowadays I only print up to the border of the arm print UV, but I've noticed that prints can extend beyond that if I want to without them getting distorted. I do worry that these arm prints aren't visible enough on the finished figure, but if I wanted to extend into this area outside the UV, then I risk compromising the Lego style in a way. I might alter the UV file in the future for this cause to make maybe doing this a bit easier for myself, but for now I guess I'll stay within these boundaries. The Photoshop adjustments were super easy. All I needed to do was remove the shadow from her forehead and remove the scope from her gun. It was at this point in writing the script that I realized that I didn't fix the black render issues in her hair, so I guess I'll do that real quick. I don't know why they keep showing up in these renders, but they're easy enough to fix, so I guess it's no big deal. And with that, here's the final figure. And here she is in the group picture, which is a part that I keep forgetting to mention in these videos recently. Yeah, definitely the easiest figure in a while. I'm still not 100% certain about my decision with the colors, but I don't think there was a better option available, so I'll stick by it anyway. And now we spin for the next one. I don't even know who's left off the top of my head. Seer would be cool to get, Loba too. Pretty much anyone but Revenant again, honestly. Oh, fuck. Okay, it was bound to happen eventually.